This is Kendall Harper reporting live from New York. So starting off on November 3rd, 1957, the Russians launched the first dog into outer space. The second satellite has demonstrated that not only that space travel is practical, but it has come true. The greatest height of the satellite so far to be measured is 1,700 kilometers. The same report says that the period of the satellite's rotation is 103.7 minutes. This is more than twice the average height of the first satellite, which still circles the Earth. It follows that the new Russian venture will stay in the sky for several years, unless it is brought down by some mechanism in which it may carry. And now moving on, we have November 1956. The Russian troops have crushed the Hungarian Revolution and maintained Soviet power over the country. Russian troops have been called in to crush the Hungarian Revolution of the 23rd and the 24th of October, 1956, just as Russian troops were called in to crush the Hungarian Revolution of 1849. But at bottom, what has happened in both countries is the same. A rising by people starved of two things that everyone must have a little of in the end if he is not to die: bread and liberty. And carrying on November 2nd, 1956, Allied carrier and land-based aircraft yesterday continued the strafing of Egyptian airfields, while British and French naval forces were reported to be approaching the Suez Canal from the north and the south. The announcement that the warships were on the move was made by a spokesman for the French Defense Ministry, who also said that the sustained air offensive was designed to destroy as many of the Egyptian planes on the ground as possible. 9 airfields were attacked yesterday, the 4 which were bombed on Wednesday, and 5 more in the Delta and Canal Zone. An Allied Forces communique said that low-level bombing replaced bombing from medium level and that there were no Allied losses. And now on April 5th, 1955, on this day, was the day that Winston Churchill resigned at the age of 80 due to failing health. Sir Winston arrived at Buckingham Palace at 4:32, looking more at ease than he did on the last 2 occasions when he came for his weekly audience with the Queen. Then he was serious, subdued, and oblivious to onlookers. Yesterday, as his car glided through the palace gates, he took his cigar firmly in his left hand and blew out a long stream of smoke, and smiled comfortably to the crowds on either side. They gave a small, uncertain cheer. And now, on June 2nd, 1953, the infamous coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. At the opening of today's 1,000-year-old rite, the Archbishop of Canterbury presented Queen Elizabeth to the people as our undoubted queen, that is, by hereditary right. 3 hours later, she went forth from the abbey, amid the greatest rejoicing, a crowned and consecrated queen. No such delight has hailed a sovereign's coronation before. Elizabeth II captured them from the start. She's done it in not merely her virtue of youth and grace, but because she joins these qualities the high seriousness we have come to associate with the House of Windsor. And now on December 4th, 1956, The Guardian reports on the latest developments in the Cuban Revolution, when Grandma, the yacht-carrying Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, arrived from Mexico. As had long been suspected but never reported by our Caribbean correspondent, the whole rebellion was inspired and directed by the faithless Fidel Castro, a young revolutionary exiled to Mexico in 1953. It is reliably reported that as many as 150 men were massed for the defense of Cuba, and that the whole invasion force, all 40 of them, was wiped out. An unconfirmed dispatch from Havana, which is, however, almost 500 miles from the battleground, said that the invasion fleet, a yacht fitted out in Mexico, was badly damaged and might be unfit for a charter for the rest of the tourist season. Castro himself was certainly dead, and so was his brother. And now on June 20th, 1953, a tragedy. On this day, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed in the United States for conspiring to pass atomic secrets to Russia. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed early this morning at Sing Sing prison for conspiring to pass atomic secrets to Russia in World War II. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing prison tonight. Neither husband nor wife spoke before they died. The couple were the first civilians in American history to be executed for espionage. They were sentenced to death on April 5, 1951, for passing on atomic secrets to Russians during the Second World War. The crowd stood in silence until the executions were announced at 1:45 a.m. The news was received in silence, and members of the crowd, most of them men, maintained a 2-minute silence for the Rosenbergs. And that concludes the world news of the 1950s.
Easy days. Now, isn't that what you want, lady? Easy days, so you have more time to amble down the avenue and window shop, more time to have fun with the family, and less need to tear around the kitchen fussing with dinners that leave you exhausted by mealtime. Well, easy days mean convenient products like Minute Rice. It's trouble-free, takes no washing, no boiling, no draining, no sticky pans. Minute Rice is prepared instantly. All you do is add Easy Day Minute Rice to boiling water. Remove from heat, cover, and let stand. Minute Rice is ready in minutes. Perfect rice without cooking, and so easily combined with your family's favorite meat and vegetable to make a well-balanced meal. Yes, with quick and easy Minute Rice on hand, you can always get the family dinner on time. So get Minute Rice for ease.
Good evening and greetings from across the globe. Tonight, we embark you on a comprehensive survey of the international landscape in this transformative decade of the 1950s. From the lingering shadows of post-war realignment to the dawn of new nations and the ever-present undercurrent of ideological conflict, the world stage is a dynamic and often dangerous arena. I'm your correspondent, your window to the world, bringing you in-depth analysis of the key events shaping our interconnected future. Our journey tonight will span through the conflict through the continents, offering a full view of our world in this time. Dominating the international scene, the Cold War continues its complex mark, dividing the world into two distinct and often antagonistic blocs. The United States and the Soviet Union, the two superpowers emerging from the ashes of World War II, engage in global chess game of influence, proxy conflicts, and the ever-looming threat of mutual destruction. We'll examine the key theaters of this ideological struggle, from the heart of Europe to the far reaches of Asia and the many nations of the developing world. The lines are drawn, alliances are forged, and the fate of the nations hangs in the balance. The Korean Peninsula became an early and brutal battleground in this global confrontation. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, saw forces from across the globe, under the banner of the United Nations and spearheaded by the United States, intervening to repel the communist North Korean invasion of the South. We'll revisit the international response, the diverse contributions of the participating nations, and the agonizing human costs of this protracted conflict. The intervention of the People's Republic of China dramatically shifted the war's trajectory, highlighting the dangerous potential for escalation in this divided world and eventual armistice, while halting the bloodshed left Korea a divided nation, a stark reminder of the Cold War's enduring impact on a regional stability. The 1950s witnessed the powerful tide of decolonization, sweeping across Africa and Asia. Nations that had long been under European colonial rule began to assert their independence, reshaping the global political map. From the independence of Ghana in 1957 to the struggles for self-determination in Algeria and beyond, this era marked a profound shift in global power dynamics. We'll examine the forces driving these moments, the challenges faced by newly independent nations, and the lasting impact of colonialism and their development. The emergence of these new states added a significant layer of complexity to the already intricate international landscape. In response to the escalating Cold War tensions, the world witnessed the formation of a significant international allies. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO, established in 1949, solidified the Western powers' collective defense against the Soviet expansion. In response, the Soviet Union and its Eastern European allies formed the Warsaw Pact in 1955, further entrenching the division of the continent. Meanwhile, the seeds of European integration were sown with the establishment of the European Economic Community, also known as the EEC, in 1957, an ambitious project aimed at fostering economic cooperations and preventing future conflict. We'll analyze the motivations behind these alliances and their profound impact on global geopolitics. The decade was punctuated by several critical international events that underscored the underlying tensions and shifting power dynamics. The Suez Crisis in 1956 exposed the declining influence of traditional European powers and highlighted the growing assertiveness of newly independent nations. The brutal suppression of the Hungarian uprising by Soviet forces were the same year laid bare the limitation of Western influence in Eastern Europe. And the Soviet Union's successful launch of the Sputnik satellite in 1957 sent shockwaves around the world, demonstrating their technological powers and igniting a space race, a new arena for Cold War competition. The international stage in the 1950s was a complex tapestry woven with threads of conflict, liberation, and the forging of new global relationships. The Cold War cast its long shadow, shaping alliances and fueling proxy conflicts. Yet, amidst this tension, the powerful forces of decolonization were reshaping the world map, and the seeds of future international cooperation were being sown. This decade laid the foundation for many of the global challenges and opportunities we face today. Understanding these pivotal years are crucial to comprehending the intricate web of international relations that continues to evolve. Beyond the stark divisions of the Cold War, the 1950s witnessed a burgeoning era of cultural exchange and influence. American pop culture, in particular, began to exert a significant pull on nations across the globe. The sounds of rock and roll, spearheaded by artists like Elvis Presley, crossed borders and resonated with a youth eager for new forms of expression, sometimes sparking both excitement and apprehension in more traditional societies. American films, with their tales of Hollywood glamour and Western heroism, captivated the audiences worldwide, shaping perceptions of American life and values. We'll explore the phenomenon of cultural diffusion and its impact on national identities and social norms in various corners of the world. Thank you for joining us on this extensive journey through the international landscape of the 1950s. The world became a very different place this decade. Until our next global dispatch, remain informed and engaged with the world around you. Good night from across the continent.
Situation urgent. Dirt to the left. Dirt to the right. Dirt above. Dirt below. Luckily, you have a secret weapon. New Mr. Clean, he's mean. He hates dirt. New Mr. Clean gets rid of grease. New Mr. Clean polishes off stains. New Mr. Clean rubs out grime. No other kind of cleaner cleans like new Mr. Clean. No liquid, powder, detergent, cleanser, or soap. Nothing. Mission completed. Thanks to your secret weapon, new Mr. Clean. He's mean. He hates dirt.
Good evening. I'm David Ronsko with today's local news section. Tonight, we have a name growing attention for his scientific circles, Miss Rachel Carson, a marine biologist and author who wrote the inspiring book Silent Spring.
All right, who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Rachel Carson.
And what inspired you to make Silent Spring?
Well, in my work in marine biology, I come across to see how our environment and how animals were treated, and I wanted to do something about it, so I wrote a book to inform and educate people of what's going on in the environment.
All right, thank you.
Rachel was born and grew up in Springdale, Pennsylvania, which is less than a mile away from Pittsburgh, and inspired hundreds of thousands to care more about the ocean. In other news, Pittsburgh Mayor David Lawrence has put his Renaissance 1 plan into full effect, having cleaned up Pittsburgh's notorious air pollution and industrial smog, among other things. Alright, who am I here with?
David O. Lawrence.
And how do you feel about the Renaissance 1 and how it progressed?
Well, our city used to be very unclean, and there was a bunch of smoke and pollution from all these factories. What we did to improve it is we tried to make it a cleaner city so that we can have very nice urban dwelling families. That's what I think.
In other words, what Mayor was trying to say in more difficult terms was that he passed on an anti-smoke legislation, enforcing stricter controls on coal burning. To help make the city more civilian-friendly, he also developed new office buildings, roads, houses, and even public spaces. Anything to help.
Am I here with?
I'm here with Jonas Salk.
And what did you create?
I created the polio vaccine.
What inspired you to create that?
My friend's mother died of polio, and I just didn't want anyone else to experience that or go through it.
All right.
That was Jonas Salk, a medical researcher based in the University of Pittsburgh. On April 12, 1955, yesterday morning, his vaccine was officially declared safe, effective, and potent. This vaccine was a major breakthrough, solving the polio disease and saving millions of lives. Salk chose not to patent the vaccine, famously saying, "Could you patent the sun?" April 28, 1952. Hundreds of thousands of people are going on a so-called steel strike, demanding wage increases from their jobs. Steel companies are currently refusing, saying that they couldn't raise wages without raising prices. President Harry Truman has ordered a federal seize of all steel mills in an attempt to end the striking, also causing an outrage from the steel companies and attempts to sue. The strike will likely end in a compromise, increasing the wages of the workers, but not as much as originally intended.
Most momentous decisions. The picket lines in 100 mills. The walkout is the result of a breakdown in negotiation. Seek an injunction in federal district court to prevent the executive order from being carried out.
Suburban lifestyles are being developed more and more as Pittsburgh is becoming more welcoming to the average family. After the war, thousands of veterans returning home and the GI Bill caused a surge in home ownership. Many families are leaving the crowded aging neighborhoods of Pittsburgh for the new lifestyle, and hundreds of houses are being built in the local townships like Beaver Daily. Rates of rail travel have declined rapidly over the past few years, as more and more cars are being produced. Pittsburgh is known for its rail powerhouse, but as it currently stands, that may change. Many families moved out of the reach of local rail travel for the suburbs, causing them to be inconvenient, and soon predicted to be gone in a few years to come. That's all for today, folks. See you later on your local news station.
The New York Yankees recently celebrated after becoming the first MLB team to win 5 consecutive World Series. Beginning with their first win against the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1949, they then went on to beat the Phillies in 1950, the Giants in 1951, the Dodgers in 1952, and the Dodgers again for the last time in 1953. This is the longest running win streak in MLB history and a record that will likely remain unbroken for some time. In the boxing ring, Sugar Ray Robinson beat Jake LaMotta for the title of middleweight boxing champion. The boxers fought 6 times over the course of their careers, with this being their last. LaMotta fell in the 13th round following a series of uppercuts from Robinson. In earlier rounds, LaMotta was able to pressure Robinson against the ropes, but by round 11 it was clear who was in control. Many fans of the fight even refer to it as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Finally, the NBA hosted its first All-Star game at the Boston Gardens, home of the Boston Celtics. The Eastern Division beat the Western Division with a score of 111-94. The West was down 9 points in the first quarter, 11 at halftime, and 19 by the end of the third quarter. Celtics' Easy Ed McCully was named the most valuable player, putting up a game-high of 20 points and defending Lakers star George Mikan. We were actually able to get a hold of McCully for an interview.
Mr. McCully, how does it feel being nominated most valuable player on the team?
It feels valuable.
Okay, and what do you think this means for the future of basketball, that this is the first NBA All-Star game?
We're going to get a ton of goals.
All right, and what went through your mind when you put up a game high of 20 points against the Western Division?
I love my family.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for today.
Anyways, a major limit for humans was recently broken at the 1956 Olympic trials. Charles Dumas shocked the world when he became the first person ever to jump 7 feet in the air, which was a record that was long thought to be previously impossible. Dumas cleared the 7-foot bar with the help of his already insane height of 6'11". This record opens up even more potential for the future of track and field and will likely inspire many athletes to push the boundaries of what is currently possible. For golf, Ben Hogan became the first person to win all 3 major golf championships in the same year. Ben Hogan won the Masters, the US Open, and British Open. He won with a record-setting performance on 3 of some of the most difficult golf courses in the world. Although Bobby Jones had a comparable golf season all the way back in 1930, the Hogan Slam stands as its own achievement due to the car crash that shattered Hogan's legs 4 years prior. Henley Albright became the first American woman to win a world figure skating title. She was also the first person to win the World, North American, and United States skating titles all in the same year, now referred to as a Triple Crown. She won her first title at age 16 and continued to win the next 4 consecutive women's titles, and was the North American champion in 1953 and 1955. Last, for the NFL. The Steelers had their only winning season of the decade in 1958 after struggling to find a consistent head coach. The president of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Art Rooney, has also been struggling to find them a coach. He's been president since 1933 until now, and we were actually able to get an interview from him too.
Alright, who am I here with?
My name is Art Rooney, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. In case you haven't heard of them, they're a football team in the American National League.
And how do you feel about Joe Batch and his coaching of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, you know, this year I think Joe's record speaks for itself. I think the game is what it is, and his record is what it is.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, that's it for sports.
Soaring high at 359 miles above Earth, Sputnik, the Soviet Union's first ever satellite, is launched into space. Going by at 18,000 miles per hour, it orbits Earth every 96 minutes. This is a major accomplishment for the USSR, as they are in a heated power war with the US. Expect more space news in the coming months as the US tries to overtake the USSR in this space race. In other scientific news, James Watson and Francis Crick have made a groundbreaking discovery when stumbling upon a helix-like structure when examining a human cell. They proposed that this could be the key to human life. Expect more about this as the story unfolds. Over to Isaiah, who's out in the field. Thank you, Isaiah. I'm outside a hospital where a discovery has possibly saved millions of lives. Dr. Jonas Salk has discovered a vaccine to polio, killing nearly 500,000 in 1940s and giving countless others paralysis. This discovery will be definitely one for the ages. Back to you, Isaiah, in the newsroom. Thank you for the field reporting, Isaiah. On an even lighter note, Pez, a popular candy that is dispensed out of a themed container, is to open up operations in the U.S. As Pez opens up to the U.S. market, they are to debut multiple new dispensers. There's a new kid on the block in the rock and roll world as Elvis Presley takes the music industry by storm. Mixing country and rock and roll, Elvis Presley has become an overnight sensation. And if you want to enjoy rock, you gotta do it right with the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. There's a new way of paying for everyday life. Are you tired of carrying around all that extra cash in your pocket? Well, that's no more with the credit card. Simple, plastic, thin card that you keep in your wallet can pay for whatever you need. Buy now, pay later. At the end of your pay period, pay off all of your debt. Well, you definitely know that I'll be using one. The aviation industry is getting a new piece of technology called the Flight Data Recorder. As it is implemented into all new aircraft, this will record all information, action, and communication taken between flight attendants, pilots, and ground control. This will make it easier for the FAA to investigate aircraft and flight incidents. Are you sitting behind your television right now going, boy, I could go for something to eat? Well, I have something for you. Open up a new TV dinner created by the company Swanson & Sons. Just microwave it in 30 seconds and it's warm. Sit down in front of your TV and enjoy a delicious, tastes like home-cooked meal. In some more fun news, a theme park is being opened up in California called Disneyland. Being themed after all Disney movies and characters, it will be fun for a whole family to enjoy. The human race has done it once again. Sherpa Tenzing Norgay and British explorer Edmund Hillary have summited the world's largest mountain, Mount Everest, in a short 16 days took them to get to the top. If you'd like a good laugh, open up your local newspaper to find the Peanuts comic strip, which is about a cowardly boy and his courageous dog friend named Snoopy and the wild adventures they go on. In response to the USSR's space agency, the United States has decided to come up with their own space agency, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or short, NASA. This is to combat with the USSR's success with Sputnik and to fight in the space race. Thank you for watching our broadcast of the 50s. That's all we have for you for this decade. I hope I see you in the next.